Patrol, 1.929, and at least for the moment, that's good enough to put him into the shootout. The Beast P Blue out of Intercourse, Pennsylvania. Here's Alvin Esch. Yes, indeed, he stops it in time. Beast P Blue with a legal run, but is it good enough to make it into the Fast Four shootout coming up later on Super Trax? Beast P Blue had to beat a 1.929. Mud Patrol sitting on the bubble with that time. On the replay, Beast P Blue looks like he's in good shape, but whether he ever had enough speed is the only question we'll decide here. Another look at Pennsylvania driver Alvin Esch in the Beast P Blue. He comes out in pretty good shape, but he catches the rut right there that we've been talking about. That's going to cost him a little bit of time. And when you're talking about fractions, you just can't afford to have that happen. Beast P Blue at 1.9593 100ths of a second is all he missed the shootout by. Now, the three-time champion, Tom Martin and Super Trooper out of Portage, Indiana. No way that's going to be good enough, as the Super Trooper had all kinds of problems. And I think we're going to find it's that same rut we've been talking about on the right-hand side of the track that cost Tom Martin. Well, really, it looks like it was a bad start that got him, as he just leaped out of the starting block and got himself into the mud pit on air instead of on mud, and you don't want that to happen. Watch the start. All four wheels leave the ground, and then he hits that rut on the right-hand side. Just not the kind of run we're used to seeing from Tom Martin and the Super Trooper. And indeed, it is not enough to get him into the shootout today. 2.008, a disappointing shot for Tom Martin and the Super Trooper. So the Fast Four go into the shootout. The F-Kicker, Let's Boogie, Mystic Warrior, and Mud Patrol. Gold Fever barely misses out. Ron Smith will have to take it on home with Beast P Blue, Psychotic Beast, a disappointed Tom Martin and Super Trooper, and Midnight Magic rounding out the first round competition.
So the shootout in Providence will feature a veritable who's who of mud racing. Mud Patrol, Mystic Warrior, Let's Boogie, and F-Kicker. Jeremy Finley in S-Kicker has got to be the mudder to beat after his amazing run of 1.748 seconds. Then again, we know anything can happen. We'll be back with the shootout in just a moment. And Mud Patrol. And once again, here's Scott Douglas.
A rabid crowd getting it on and having a good time in Providence, Rhode Island with the U.S. Hot Rod Association Mud Stars. The S-Kicker, Let's Boogie, Mystic Warrior, and Mud Patrol laid down the four best shots in the first round, but that means nothing now. All those times are wiped out, and everybody has to do it one more time.
It's getting pretty bad there at the end. Hopefully we can do it about the same we did the first round.
When you said pretty bad, what do you mean?
The starting line's getting real rutted up. The pit's staying good, but the starting line's going away.
How's S-Kicker performing?
We got the fastest time so far. Hopefully it holds up.
The track has been going away. It may be an advantage for S-Kicker to go first here in the shootout. And he does get it stopped down. But Jeremy Finley doesn't look like a real happy man. That was not an outstanding run. But we just don't know how bad the mud pit is and that starting line is at this point to tell if that's going to hold up. Really wild start. You can see how the front wheel got kicked way up in the air. And here he's starting almost to leave the pit on the side. Jeremy Finley did not seem thrilled with that run. Let's watch it from the side angle, and you're going to see him veer way off to the right as the driver faces the track. And it had to cost him a little bit of time. The S-Kicker and Jeremy Finley, much slower than his earlier run. The distance is covered in 2.089. But we'll find out where that lands him in the shootout, because everybody has to lay down a new shot.
Yeah, it feels pretty good considering last night we had some major problems with the motor. We did a lot of work today, changed everything drastically, and it seemed to help. We just got to make a couple of small changes and we'll be ready to come back.
What drastic changes did you make?
Oh, we put a new ignition in the car, changed the fuel system completely, and just tried something different to get her to work again.
Amazing what Let's Boogie had to do to make it here into the shootout. Let's see if Tony's made the right changes. It stops in time, and Let's Boogie lays down what he hopes will be a run to put him in the number 1 spot. Coming right at you on Super Trax. Tony Fiore and Let's Boogie. Boy, it seemed like a nice solid run. Stayed right in the middle of the track. Did not have too many problems with the rut. And shuts it down in good shape. A little bit of wheel spin at the line. He didn't really get off as clean as I'm sure he would have liked. I don't know if that cost him much or not. We're going to find out. Here comes the time. At least for the moment, it puts him in first place. Let's Boogie at 2.002 is now the time to beat. Here comes the kid, Matt Ward, out of Mechanicsburg, Pennsylvania.
Yeah, I went out to start line. There was one set of ruts there to start line. One side was real deep, one side wasn't. So I took the left-hand side over to Gallows rut. I think at the start line, I smushed tires a little bit, and I let off about 5 feet at the finish line. So I got stopped in time. But it worked out.
Matt Ward, what do you think of the track?
The track? I like the track. It's nice, fast track. I think we'll do good in the final round.
We're going to find out because here comes the confident kid, 19-year-old Matt Ward and the Mystic Warrior. Boy, you can see why he had that confidence. That is an outstanding-looking run from Matt Ward. Although, look at his face. He doesn't seem thrilled with it. Didn't seem real excited about it, although to this eye, it looks pretty good. Let's watch the Ford machine coming at you. I'll tell you, he doesn't have many problems in there. Didn't get kicked around by the ruts at all. Got a good start. We'll get another angle at it, see if we can detect anything wrong. Of course, Matt Ward, the kid, is a perfectionist, and he may have thought he could have got a little more out of it. I'll tell you what he did get out of it, enough to take the lead. The time for Mystic Warrior, 1.967. He's got the lead. He can finish no worse than second, but he wants to win. Here's the Mud Patrol and Paul Schaefer.
Well, what I did to the car, the track is getting so rough and bouncy. What we're doing is putting a lot more air pressure in the tires, trying to get the tires to break loose and skid across the top, not hit the holes. When the tire's real low, it bounces down and acts like a shock and it pushes the whole front end up off the ground. We're trying to keep the car level and straight across the mud.
Good lesson in how you set up for the mud racing shootout from the Mud Patrol and Paul Schaefer. It in time. The U.S. hot rod officials, though, are saying, yes, indeed, it's a legal run. He did not touch the barrier at the end, which would have DQ'd him. They'll now disconnect the kill switch cables while we wait to see if his time is good enough to beat Matt Ward's 1.967. Let's watch it again. And there's the bounce that Paul was talking about in the interview we had a moment ago. The extra air pressure kept him on top of the mud without sinking in. Was it good enough to get the win? We're going to find out after one more look at the replay. Paul Schaefer and the Mud Patrol out of Portage, Indiana. Riding along, skimming across the top. And here comes the time. He needed to beat 1.967. Paul Schaefer and the Mud Patrol, 1.908. It is a championship run for Paul Schaefer and Mud Patrol. He wins it in Providence. The kid, Matt Ward, goes second. Then it's Tony Fiore third, and Jeremy Finley rounding out the Fast Four. There's your winner, Paul Schaefer, coming out of the cab. That 1932 Ford Coupe of the Mud Patrol. He's going to go over and talk to our Steve McDonald about that run today as Mud Patrol takes the victory.
Oh, it's a big win, but Tom Martin got the car ready, and he's been trying new stuff with it, and he's been experimenting, and now I think he's got to go home and change his like he got this stuff. This car is really running good.
Talk about the changes and how they help.
We changed air pressure, shocks, and for the rough track. The car's got so much motor from Vance in his engine, they build a race motors, and they got so much horsepower, we can kill the motors and, you know, cutting the horsepower down.
Strategy going into this one?
Oh, yeah, I had to find a good spot to line up. I didn't know where to line up. There was like 5 different passes out there, and I just picked the right one.